everyone.
Hello.
For the benefit of those who haven't met me before, my name's Jack. I used to be around here quite a lot since, or before I moved house. I've been like a hobbyist wildlife photographer since I was around about 14, 15. And then around about 4 or 5 years ago, I bought my first macro lens, and that was it. That was all I wanted to do, was go outside, crawl around in the dirt, and take pictures of insects. I was doing that for a couple of years, and a lot of the photos that I'm going to show you today have been dated. Everything that I'm showing you today were photos that were taken here, in mostly around the wetlands, but some around Stewartby Lake Walk as well. You'll notice from the dates that quite a lot of them are quite old. The reason for that being that my camera did in fact get stolen a couple of years ago, unfortunately, from my car, and I've only just got around to replacing it, so I'm just starting to get back into it again. The micro critters of Marston Vale. Now what I've done is I've tried my very best to categorise things, so there should be an order that animals appear. So for example, we're going to start off with flying things. Is what I've written down. It's very descriptive, as you can tell. So first off, it's probably one that most people recognise, the peacock butterfly. One of my personal favourite butterflies, along with, I'm sure, many of you as well. The one thing that I love about photographing peacock butterflies is you really get an idea of the iridescence on the scales. So whereas this, to us, would just look cream, when you get it in the right kind of light, you can see the beautiful blue reflecting off it. We've got a bit of a close-up of the face there as well, where you can see it's a lovely feeding tube with a little bit of nectar and pollen on there as well. So it's obviously quite a well-fed butterfly. As far as butterflies go, my knowledge isn't very great, so I'd like to introduce you to unknown butterfly. I'm sure some people here would probably be able to tell me what it is if they saw it. Could be a hair streak, I'm not entirely sure. I remember it was quite large, but we've got a really nice close-up of the face there. You really don't get an idea of how fluffy they are until you see them really up close. Another thing that I love about them is the eyes. When you get close enough, you can see all the individual lenses, which is something I'll come back to with another animal in a minute. Moving on from the unknown butterfly. Oh, yes, Jean?
Jack, how close are you when you take these photographs?
So, this one in particular, I was probably around about this far away from the butterfly.
Really?
Gosh, yeah. The thing about the macro lenses that I use is with a classic camera lens, you have a zoom. So if you're far away, you zoom in, and that makes you look closer. Macro lenses don't quite work like that. The focus changes, but the zoom stays the same. So if you want to get closer, you physically have to get closer. Taking pictures of things like butterflies is very difficult because butterflies really don't want you to be all that close to them. So it takes, I mean, a shot like this would take around about maybe 5 or 6 minutes of starting here, waiting, another step, and just very, very slowly moving towards it. It takes a lot of patience, which is something I've had to learn. Moving on from the unknown butterfly, we have an unknown butterfly. I think this was a meadow brown.
Yes.
But I wasn't 100% sure, I didn't want to lie, so I have just marked it as unknown. As you can see, this one actually landed on me. So sometimes you get lucky when you're doing photography and you don't have to creep up on animals. Sometimes they just come straight over to you. This little fellow is a twin-lobed deer fly. This is the same one that I used in my intro screen. I had to include it because of those eyes. They are just stunning. And you get that colour in person as well, rather than just on camera. Deer flies, as you can probably imagine by the name, are a relative of the horsefly. Meaning, yes, should they so choose, they can make your day a lot worse. This one here in particular, I didn't notice until after I'd seen it, but it's actually lost part of its wing. But I can assure you that it flew away perfectly fine, which just goes to show how resilient insects can be compared to us. It's really quite impressive. I think we've got Just one more
Whoa.
real close up of those eyes.
Yeah.
Again, very flighty, very quick. So getting that close, that was like a once in a lifetime thing. And again, if you could see a little closer, you can see again all of the tiny individual lenses on the compound eyes. There's a good one coming up that will show that a little bit more effectively. This is a type of hoverfly known as the footballer, called that because of this stripy jersey that he's wearing. It's in the Heliophilus genus. However, there's like 3 or 4 that look very, very similar. And as I say, it's a hobby. I can't tell you exactly which one it is. But again, it's really nice to see. I've actually seen a few of these already this year as well. So they're starting to come out. Next up, we have a crane fly, another unknown. I did some research into this because I did want to know what this was. And then I found about 3 that all looked really similar once again. So I put down a couple here, C. pentinicornis or D. bimaculata. Those were the only 2 that actually looked anything similar to it. Crane flies, I think, are one of those that divide people. You either love them or you hate them. I think around about this time of year, a lot of them start coming into people's houses as well, which makes a lot of people a little bit more on the against side than the for. But when you see one like this, they are really pretty with like the black spots on the wings, bright yellow legs. An absolute pleasure. Here is a common darter, something that you will probably be seeing a lot more as the spring goes on. It's like the big red dragonfly. And then this is the photo that I was talking about before, where you can get a really good look at all of the individual lenses. With dragonflies being predatory, they catch other flies while they're flying. Their eyesight is really, really good. It puts us to shame. And with the way that the eyes are shaped as well, not only can they see directly in front, they can see to the side and a little bit behind as well, which is why they're so good in the air and barely ever crash into anything. Barely ever. I mean, I have been hit in the head by a dragonfly or 2, but maybe that was just them and not the whole species in general. We have a blue damselfly. These 2, at some point recently, before the photo was taken, were engaged in mating. So the male has hooks on the bottom of his tail that he basically clamps around the female to make sure she can't be taken away by another male. In this picture, he's just up there having a rest on a branch. I think he might have forgotten to land. Hence why he looks so worried and so panicked. Next up, we have a flash fly. So you can't see it in the picture, but this family of flies have black and white patterns on the back. I know that flies are another one of those things that not everyone is in love with, but I really like spiders, and the flies feed the spiders, so by proxy I suppose I have to get on with flies. The thing about these photos here is I really love looking at those little suction pads on the feet, which goes to show why flies can climb on literally anything. You really wouldn't know unless you saw it really close up. It almost looks like 2 little toes that create suction so they can walk on glass, plastic, anything the fly wants to. Here we have a dark-edged bee fly. I had one of these in my garden the other day. That was really exciting. Unfortunately, I only got a picture from the back, but you can see why they call it dark-edged, is the black line across the top of the wings. Almost like a hummingbird, they've got a really long proboscis that they use to poke into flowers and drink the nectar out of it. Big pollinators as well, very good at helping those flowers spread out and keep our meadows looking beautiful. This next one, technically not flying, but I've included it in the same category because one day it will do, and it is the cinnabar moth caterpillar. You see these on ragwood a lot, and as far as caterpillars go, they're one of my absolute favourites. I would love to show you a picture of a cinnabar moth itself. They're really quick. Ridiculously quick, and they're very aware of their surroundings. A lot of times that I've been creeping up on one for 5 minutes and it's just completely gone. So I've never actually got around to seeing one or photographing one close up. You can see here the hairs all around the top and the black and orange coloration, which in nature speak basically means don't touch me, you're probably going to regret it. So I didn't. And there's a nice close-up of the head as well. Really cute when you get up close to them. Not 100% sure where the eyes are on that one. But again, you can see how long some of those hairs are. That would definitely get stuck in a bird's throat if they gave it a go. Moving on now from things that fly, in brackets, things that will eventually fly. We're moving on to some beetles. We have this, which is a harlequin ladybird larva. I would love to show you a 6-spot ladybird larva, but unfortunately, since harlequins came over to the UK, 6-spot ladybird larva are really hard to find. And most of the ones you see will be these ones. This one here, as you can see, just around here, is missing like this bit. It's got a little bit of a hole in the side of it, which again I didn't notice until afterwards. So I think this one, a bird or something along those lines, definitely tried to have a go and obviously failed as it was still wandering about, eating as it should. Next up we have the alder leaf beetle. Occasionally you'll see these in very large groups. I think the biggest group I ever saw was around about 150 on a single plant. The photos don't really do it a huge amount of justice. They are very, very iridescent blue. Really hard to mistake it. If it catches the light as you're walking past it, you will see it despite its size. And there is a little front shot where you can see the antenna nice and properly. They are cute. They are really cute. I do love beetles.
Oh, wow.
Violet ground beetle. This is a personal favourite. Violet ground beetle, you can probably guess because of the violet around the edges, but then also on the top of the carapace here, it glows like an iridescent blue in a bright light as well. From a distance, it just looks like a plain black beetle, but when you get up close to them, they really do shine. And they're not a small beetle, it's probably around about 1.5 inches, 2 inches long.
Wow.
You'll find these underneath logs. If you're anything like me, every time you're walking through a forest and you see a log on the floor, you get very excited. And you roll it over and see what's under it. So that was a really, really nice find. This was a once-in-a-lifetime beetle for me, the wasp beetle. I've only ever seen one, and it was here. And it was, back in 2020. They're not altogether common. You can see why they call it a wasp beetle with the black and yellow pattern down the back. And like I said, I would love to see another one of these again, but fate willing, we'll find out. In this close-up, if you could see a little closer, the whole of the back is covered in these tiny, tiny little hairs as well, which make it look quite fluffy. Almost strokeable if it wasn't 2 centimetres long and flying away from you. Thick-thighed beetle is as you can probably guess why it gets its name. Interestingly, it's only the males in this species that have those thick thighs. I don't know why, but you can tell that this one is most certainly a male. These were really, really common back in 2020 when I took this picture. I haven't seen any yet this year, but it is one of those beetles that I would love to see again. You'll find them on more or less any flower. You can see little flecks of pollen in the hairs on the legs as well. So they spend a lot of their time on flowers. Excuse me for just 1 second. This little chap is a type of plant hopper. Again, there are so many different types of plant hopper, and they are all so very small. So it's really difficult to pin down what type he was, but you get an idea for the size with just how thick the edge of a leaf looks when it's compared to it. And these are nettle needles. So those fine little hairs on the top of a nettle leaf, it really puts it into perspective that they're about half the height of one of these. I love the little pupil in the centre of the eye. Whenever you're photographing them, it really makes it seem like they're looking straight back at you. We have another one here as well that I found on a skull around Stuartby Lake. I think it was a lamb skull. No idea what it was doing next to the lake though. It looked like it had been there a long time. But once again, you see just how small it is compared to the actual bones surrounding it. Really, really pretty. And quite common as well, if you can spot them being how small they are. This is an exciting one. Lesser stag beetle. It looks very similar to what a female stag beetle would look like, but just quite a lot smaller. And a full stag beetle, this part at the back here would be brown rather than black. With these, this is a female, as the males would have a little bump on the top of the mandibles here. So I could tell that this was a female, but the little paws all over the head and all over the back really just add like a lovely texture to these beetles, along with the sort of little line of fluff that goes around. You see a little bit of it under the mouth as well. So they're not quite as sort of solid and hard as they look. Underneath that, they've got quite a lot of fuzz as well. This adds to the cuteness factor. This is a flat-backed millipede, one of the Polydesmus, I think. I just love the way that they look like armour-plated. Really cool. You'll find these quite commonly underneath logs and stones as well. We've got a bit of a picture of the front end of it there as well. And you can see how all the segments, when they turn, they sort of separate, and then as they straighten up, they go back together again. Makes it look almost mechanical, I think. Very, very pretty. Always love to see those. What have we got next? Oh, it's ants. So this is what I like to call the miscellaneous part of it, where I just kind of, all the stuff that I wanted to talk about but couldn't quite find a category for. So here is an interesting behaviour done by some ants, where they're actually farming the aphids. So they go up to them, give them a little stroke on the back with their antennae, which encourages the aphid to release its honeydew, which is a nice way of saying what the aphid is actually doing, which the ants then drink as it's very high in sugar. So the ants will protect them against things like the ladybird larvae that we saw earlier, and adult ladybirds as well. Farming in nature, it's kind of a beautiful symbiotic relationship. We have frogs. I love photographing frogs. I love the way that the skin looks, but the thing that always gets me about frogs and toads is the eyes. As you can probably tell with how much I like to focus on the eyes, the golden colour is just incredible when you get it in the light as well with the sun. Even better in common toads, which have a lot rougher skin, and that's a little bit dark, but I think you can still see the golden colour in the eye. And this is same type, but a different toad I found on a different day, with a little bit more light on it, which makes it a lot easier to again just see how beautiful they are. Once again, haven't seen any this year, but here's hoping, fingers crossed, at least the rain is good for something, right? I found a leech in Sturvey Lake. Don't recommend that you do what I did in picking it up. I saw it, I was sat down on the lakeside, and I just saw it squirming in some plants, and I just couldn't resist the opportunity to get it out and try and get a picture of it at least. There you can see a little bit of the underside, so the flaps on the side show how effective and adapted they are to moving around in the water as well. Quite happy to move around on land, and funnily enough, this one didn't actually latch onto me, so no blood was lost that day. This is the part of the presentation where I need to ask if anyone has arachnophobia. Any spider fears? Because as I said before, I love spiders, so this is quite a large portion of the presentation is pictures of spiders. This one I really like. It's cross-orb weaver. I don't know what it's cross about, but it looks pretty good to me. And on here, just here, we have a globular springtail as well. They live in the soil and they basically eat anything that's breaking down and decaying. They eat fungus and mold. The spider itself wasn't all that small, but the springtail really makes it look massive, adds a sense of scale to the photo. And there's a picture of her pretty little face. You can only see 4 of the eyes there, all the forward-facing ones, which just goes to show that they are very good at hunting. Next up we have the nursery web spider. I love the colours and the patterns on this, and if you do know anyone who's arachnophobic, find them a spider that's really nice and fluffy around the edges. You can sort of soften the blow a little bit, I find. Until you see them face on. They've got quite a mean looking face. As the orb weaver obviously makes a web and waits for its food to come to it, nursery web spiders go out and actually hunt. So you can see the two main forward facing eyes there are a lot bigger than the rest. Meaning they've got really good vision and they can sense movement, which in turn makes them really hard to photograph because they definitely know when you're coming. Next up, this is feather moss, and these are small little branches. This crab spider was minuscule, smaller than my little fingernail. So this took a little bit of work to actually manage to photograph, but I just love the composition of the green compared to sort of the dark greys of the spider. The camouflage actually works really well. But yeah, absolutely tiny, tiny little spider. Almost looks like it's got a little face
on
as well. Maybe it's a defense mechanism for photographers. Kind of freaks me out a little bit. Next up we have another orb weaver spider. Bit of a sad story with this one. Not something that I've ever seen before, especially not with two of them. But these on here are the larvae of a parasitic wasp that has obviously laid on the spider, and the larvae are unfortunately sucking the life out of it. It's very, very rare to find two larvae on a single spider as well. So it's an interesting find, but you can't help but feel like a little bit bad for the spider as well. It is a shame. Unfortunately in nature though, everything has got to eat some way or another. Next up we have wolf spiders. I saw, we had a little walk around the wetlands before we came in to the AGM. I saw a lot of these on top of the nettles. So if you see something small, black and brown, that just disappears around the side of the leaf as you're walking past it, it's probably going to be a wolf spider. They're just everywhere at the moment. There is my finger, which gives an idea of just how small it is. They do get a bit bigger than that, and they also build these pretty intricate nests out of bits of dirt and web. There are actually two spiders in this picture, one up top and one down there. And I haven't seen two living so close together before. You'd think that they would need to compete with each other for food, but as you can tell by this end here, they are not struggling to eat at the moment at all. And there is a close-up of their face. Again, same with the nursery webs, you can definitely tell that they hunt for their food. Every single one of those eyes, apart from these two up at the sides, is facing directly forwards, giving them really, really good eyesight. Here is a lace weaver. These guys look mean as far as spiders go. Look at the size of the fangs at the front, and just the tiny, tiny little eyes make them look quite menacing, but in a kind of cute way. If you get near them, they will roll over and they will pretend to be dead. Which is really good because you get a really good view of the fangs, which compared to the size of the spider, they're not small. And they could definitely give you a little nip if they wanted to. Nothing dangerous, but with the size of them, I think you would probably feel it. I love this. This is another one that I've only ever seen once. It's a type of jumping spider in the Heliophanes family, and the pictures don't really do justice onto just how yellow it was and small. So this is it on the lens cap of my camera. Absolutely minuscule. And then if you'll excuse my dirty nails, there is how big it is compared to the tip of my finger as well. So it is absolutely tiny. I can't even remember how I saw it, but I spent about, I think, 15-20 minutes photographing just this one spider. It's a really, really pleasant thing to find. This again was a once in a lifetime. It's a wasp spider, web weaving spider, and they are around about yay big. So not a small spider by any stretch, but they have this beautiful pattern on the abdomen as well, where they get their name from. And they're usually found on the south coast, but reports of sightings have been moving slowly up north over the last 3 or 4 years. And even though they're becoming more widespread, they're definitely not becoming more common, unfortunately. But still, what an absolute pleasure to see. And that was just out in the wetlands, in the middle of a field on some grass. I saw it from a distance and had to double take. I've never moved faster in my life, moving over to get these shots. It's just, I think that's probably the favourite spider that I've ever seen and photographed. And with that,
Oh.
thank you very much. Thank you for listening. Thanks for letting me share my passion with like-minded people. It's not often I get to
Fantastic.
talk about insects.